W.E.B. Du Bois even used the word black, the souls of black folks. Black means original, not Negro. Teaching American history. The name Negro. Race and Equality, Rights and Liberties, Social Reform by W.E.B. Du Bois. This is March 1928. Dear Sir, I am only a high school student in my sophomore year, and I have not the understanding of you college-educated men. It seems to me that since the crisis is the official organ of the National Association of Advancement of Colored People, which stand for equality of all Americans, why would it designate and segregate us as Negroes and not as Americans? The most piercing thing that hurts me in this February crisis, which forced me to write, was the notice that called the natives of Africa Negroes, instead of calling them Africans or natives. The word Negro or nigger is a white man's word to make us feel inferior. I hope to be a worker for my race. That is why I wrote this letter. I hope that by the time I become a man, that this word Negro will be abolished. Roland A. Barton. My dear Roland, do not at the outset of your career make all too common error of mistaking names for things. Names are only conventional signs for identifying things. Things are the reality that counts. If a thing is despised either because of ignorance or because it's despicable, you will not alter matters by changing its name. If men despise Negroes, they will not despise them less if Negroes are called colored or Afro-Americans. Moreover, you cannot change the name of a thing at will. Names are not merely matters of thought and reason. They are growths and habits. As long as the majority of men mean black and brown folk when they say Negro, so long will Negro be the name of folks brown and black. And neither anger nor wailing nor tears can or will change the name until the name habit changes. Why seek to change the name? Negro is a fine word, etymologically and phonetically. It is much better and more logical than African or colored or any of the various hyphenated circumclusions. Of course, it is not historically accurate. No name ever was more accurate, historically accurate. Neither English, French, German, white, Jew, Nordic, nor Anglo-Saxon. They were all first nicknames, misnomers, accidents, grown eventually to conventional habits and achieving accuracy because and simply because wide and continued usage rendered them accurate. In this sense, Negro is quite as accurate, quite as old, and quite as definite as any name of any great group of people. Suppose now we could change the name. Suppose we arose tomorrow morning and lo, instead of being called Negroes, all the world called us Cherpalodi. Do you really think that this would make a vast and momentous difference to you and me? Would the Negro problem be suddenly and eternally settled? Would you be any less ashamed of being descended from a black man? Or would your schoolmates feel any less superior to you? The feeling of inferiority is in you, not in any name. The name merely evokes what's already there. Exercise the hateful complex, and no name can ever make you hang your head. Or on the other hand, suppose that we slip out of the whole thing by calling ourselves Americans. But in that case, what word shall we use when we want to talk about those descendants of dark slaves who are largely excluded still from American citizenship, full American citizenship, and from complete social privilege with the white folk. Here, in something that we want to call about, here is something that we want to talk about, that we do not talk about. We, the Negroes, could not live without talking about. In that case, we need a name for it, do we not? In order to talk logically and easily and be understood, if you do not believe the necessity of such a name, watch the antics of a colored newspaper which has determined in a fit of New Year's resolution not to use the word Negro. And then, too, without the word that man's us, where are all those whose spiritual ideas, those inner bonds, those group ideas and forward strivings of this mighty army of 12 million, shall we abolish there with the abolition of the name? Do we want to abolish them? Of course we do not. They are our most precious heritage. Historically, of course, your dislike of the word Negro is easily explained. Negroes among your grandfathers meant black folks. Colored people were mulattoes. The mulattoes hated and despised the blacks and were insulted if called Negroes. But we are not insulted by you and I. We are quite as proud of our black ancestors as our white, and perhaps a little prouder. What hurts us is the mere memory that any man of Negro descent was ever so cowardly as to despise any part of his own blood. Your real work, my dear young man, does not lie with names. It is not a matter of changing them, losing them, or forgetting them. Names are nothing but little guideposts along the way. The way should be there and just be as hard and just as long if there were no guideposts, but not quite as easily followed. Your real work as a Negro lies in two directions. First, to let the world know what there is fine and genuine about the Negro race, and secondly, to see that there is nothing about the race which is worth contempt. Your contempt, my contempt, or the contempt of the wide world. Get this then, Roland, and get it straight, even if it pierces your soul. A Negro by any other name would be just as black and just as white, just as ashamed of himself, and just as ashamed by others as today. It is not the name, it's the thing that counts. Come on, kid, let's get to the theme. And this is by W.E.B. Du Bois. I do disagree with this, because to me, in this, he kind of contradicts himself. He said the name is not important, so let's change. Don't worry about changing it. Well, you want to change your name is a sign that you want to change the stigma. So, that's very important. And here also, W.E.B. Du Bois does not address the fact that in their own language, Africans or the black people in Africa, they never called themselves the word Negro or niggers. Those words were put on them. Even white people made up the name Nigeria and Niger just so that they would call themselves niggers. So, All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164, and we're going to do something We'll do this with the history on the history channel. But the thing is, I wanted to get into this. I was having a conversation on Twitter by a couple of fine Negroes or unfine Negroes or ignorant Negroes who are proud Negroes. These Negroes, they had the nerve to try to criticize the Negro culture that Jews promote, because Jews have control of Negro culture and Negro image. Negroes are even the terminology is a development, is a label, is a slur that Jews came up with, to insult the children of Ham, which the Hamitic myth that Jews created. And so they come up with these type of caricatures in their Jewish controlled media and recording labels to try to make real their insults. So this guy says, LaFarmer, Irie, he criticizes the Jews. I said, dude, you're calling yourself a Negro. This is Negro dead culture. One day y'all gonna learn the original black people reject this behavior. Original black people reject this behavior. Negro doesn't mean dead. I proved him incorrect there. So this is just simple facts. He doesn't prove that Negro doesn't mean dead. He just mentions names of icons of black people. Frederick Douglass, Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Carter G. Woodson, and others are black American pioneers. That's white sellout for money culture. Okay, so just because you list these historical people, that these are also mainstream folks. They're not telling you the ones that's not mainstream. Okay, these are just people who can now be talked about because the white supremacists have shaped even their perception, your perception of them. But the fact that he started off with Negro doesn't mean dead is incorrect. I literally show him a screenshot of the history and etymology of the term C, the letter C and G. Both were created by Romans. Letter C came first, was actually designed to create the sound typically associated with the letter G. So C is actually supposed to sound like G, not K. It eventually evolved to work for the sound of the letter G and the letter K. All right, so we know that from necro, stop it, negro. Romans were at war with dark-skinned people, so their slurs reflected. It's simple. It's very simple. So for Rome, the person goes back and says some ignorant, stupid stuff to me. But, this is what they believe. So from Rome to America, which, America Vespucci, Italian, Rome's, we see these connections. Okay, we see these connections. Columbus, Latin, Roman. This is the same thing. So from Rome to America, America respects the language of Rome, Latin. They made sure to call the same people that landed in America as Negro. First of all, we were here already. Okay, that we landed in America. Then second of all, that they were calling you dead back in the 11th century. The Jews did. So I showed them Rabbi Rashi. All we can do is lay down the facts. It means dead. Necro means dead. Rabbi Rashi, a Jew that hated black people, is the 11th century Jew that started calling black people that. Y'all get mad because we tell you simple facts, call us a scam when they stole labor. Crazy. So this guy actually says, yeah. All right, so this is where this conversation is coming from, and this is why I'm just kind of going through it. Dude, I gave you the foundation of the original meaning of the word, then I showed you what the group, he's mad because I went back to Roman times. But he's only going back to the American 200 years or 100 years or something like that. This word is back to Rome. It's Latin. That's what the word is. It's a Latin word. So if you're talking about the meaning of the word, you got to show how it progressed through time. It was always negative towards black folks. It's about the same mentality that these people that think they can turn nigger into something positive. So the Jewish rabbis used the curse of Ham to validate it. Okay, so that's there. I gave you the foundation. I showed them that. Then he asked me, so what's our name? I says, we are, number one, we are part of the original black family of this planet. I'm laying a foundation. Ancient history and a variety of our cultures support this. So in English, the closest cognate is black, not the Germanic etymology. See, if Negro had an etymology in one of our original languages, then we could use it. You're doing all this to say that we are the original man? Duh. Okay, well, I already said that before, but I'm glad we agree. So he says, Du Bois created the Encyclopedia of the Negro. Our previous generations picked up black power. So if words are so important, where's the power? We already showed that power. That's the reason why our enemy came against us. See, this is why, I don't like necessarily talking to people who are disingenuous. The words are power, black power. This is it, black. So I showed him even Du Bois used black. He named the book Black. So understand he wasn't emotionally invested either. So let's not ignore it. Did he say the souls of Negroes? See, the encyclopedia of a Negro, that's telling other people about somebody. That encyclopedia is something that you look to learn about some other people. But hold on a second. So we go into the souls of black folks, and then the guy says, surely read Du Bois' own words, great link reference. Now, in this one, it's pretty good because he shows what Du Bois said, even though Du Bois was not always right. So I don't know why he's showing that, but whatever. But even in this, Du Bois does not say don't change the word. He's asking this person, and we'll read it, but they like to show the part that agrees with them. But why seek to change the name? Negro is a fine word. I disagree. Etymologically and phonetically, I disagree. It is much better and more logical than African. Okay? That's his, and I agree with that. Well, no, I don't. I would be an African before I'm a Negro, but African and Negro is the same. Or colored. Colored is definitely all slurs. The colored is a slurred. It just shows, it means that you're not original. You're part of an organization talking about the advancement of colored people. And that's interesting. So that shows you the mixed up mentality of Du Bois, or any of the various hyphenated circumclusions. Of course, it is not historically accurate. See? It's not historically accurate. No name ever was more historically accurate, neither English, French, German, white, Jude, Nordic, or Anglo-Saxon. They were all first nicknames, misnomers, accidents, grown eventually to conventional habits and achieving accuracy simply because wide and continued usage rendered them accurate. In this sense, Negro is quite as accurate, quite as old, and quite as definite as any name of any great group of people. All right. So I disagree with him. And this person says we traded Negro for black power, but have no power. False. And had more collective unity and wealth as Negroes. False. You can keep, I guess they mean flat blackness. And then nobody says flat blackness, but whatever. This is the kind of weird stuff that these people come up with when they talk to themselves. It hasn't had as achieve anything great after 1970. But what has Negro achieved great? Nothing. As a nation of the formerly enslaved. All right, so indoctrination by our own after they ran this COINTELPSYOP, the black American, no longer served the purpose for them, and their rate of employment drastically reduced across every state. All right, so, that's where the conversation's.
A black family in Georgia is in a huge battle with Gwinnett County, who's trying to take their land that they've owned for more than 100 years. It's called the Promised Land. The Promised Land was a former plantation, and the county has already purchased several lots, including the big house, which has been turned into a historical site. Now the county wants more land, and they have been sending lowball figures to the 93-year-old owner whose health is declining and who also has dementia. And so the other family members are basically saying that the county is now trying to force them to sell this land by eminent domain. And so now they're headed to court to see if they can forcefully take this land from this black family. Now, the family is saying that the county wants the land so that they can do Civil War reenactments without bringing up the history, the rich African history surrounding the land. So this family needs our support. If you're in that area, show up at that meeting. I think it's going to be later this month here in April to support this family. A black family in Georgia.
So like I said, guys, this is Super Mike. I'm just going to end it off here. But the bottom line is, stand strong on your reparations. Understand that we got to judge things from a different eye when we're looking at the United States of America. When we see black kids acting crazy, we got to understand that some of this is unavoidable because these white people, the ones who've been running this country, they have been neglecting us. We are a very, very large group of people. We need to eat. We have to have social services. We have to have proper medical care. Black women got the highest infant mortality rate and highest maternal mortality rate across anything, and it's based on if they got a black doctor or not. That just tells you that these doctors are killing you right inside the hospital. You got hundreds of years of eugenics. You got all of this systematic racism stuff. You got cops killing you here and there. You're in fear. You're getting shot at. You make one little mistake. You go to this little stop at a little stop somewhere, and somebody just starts shooting at you. So, I don't want to hear nothing. You pay us our money or let your country burn to hell. I don't care. Black people, you shouldn't be joining no wars. You shouldn't have no reparations, no vote. Take all your energy, all that voting energy, and focus on trying to solve some black problems. Let's go out here. Let's help these black people keep their land. Let's work and start funding our own organizations so that we can start developing the power, so we can start organizing around this stuff 24/7. Professional organizations. So that's all I got. Let me know what you guys think. Peace.
The U.S. is able to exert its leadership. Is there understanding of the fact that countries are beginning to turn away from the use of the dollar and some way to resolve that?
Well, I'd have to let Japan speak to their economic policy. The
number of countries that are beginning to denominate in dollars away from the U.S. dollar.
I'm going to have to take your question, sir. I don't have a good answer for you today.
Japan holds $1.2 trillion, the largest U.S. debt, and a growing number of countries seem to be moving away from the use of the dollar. Is there an understanding of this, of a concern for that? As the world reserve currency is really a big part of why the U.S. is able to exert its leadership. Is there understanding of the fact that countries are beginning to turn away from the use of the dollar and some way to resolve that?
Well, I'd have to let Japan speak to their economic policy. The
number of countries that are beginning to denominate in dollars away from the U.S. dollar.
I'm going to have to take your question, sir. I don't have a good answer for you today.